Okay, I'm trying to start again. Okay, so now I was going to tell about the ghost stories, but I'm not going to just tell like to try and be like, oh, and spooky kind of a ghost stories kind of thing. Just more about that there is energies and entities around us all the time. So my first one that I really was aware of was, I think it was like 15 or 14 when we moved in this house. I was going out of 7th grade into 8th grade, I think. It was around that time. And we moved into this house. And it was this really, really big house. I had tennis courts, swimming pool. It was really super fancy. I grew up, and my dad just kept doing better and better and better and better. And at this point, we were pretty well off. I've told you before, he was like, you know, hanging out with these guys. I would always hear about all these it was always told to me always that, oh, that guy's a millionaire, that guy's a millionaire. And there was always, I don't know, crooked shit. And that's where I started seeing it. Money doesn't make you have integrity. It doesn't make you ethical, moral, or a better person. Most of the people were shady as fuck and molesters. And yeah, it was. So in this house, you know, it was, you even got a horse. I mean, this place was fancy, and it was way set back off the street. I think it was like maybe it was like a 3/4 of an acre of a forest you had to go through to get up to our house. I can't remember. And I had bad situations in that forest too. But okay, so when we moved into this house, it was built by this family, and they were the Geibels, and they were in Dallas, and it was a mom and a dad and a teenage daughter, a teenage son. It seems like there was a third child. I think there was a third child. Okay, so the first daughter, she ended up having some kind of mental breakdown. The boy was deaf, and the other girl, she had like what is that called, like spinal bifida or something. So and the dad was a composer, and in the house we had a it was a silent room. Isn't that what they're called, silent rooms, where it's all silence, because he was a musician, and that's where he would go in and he would play. And that room, like if you were ever in that room by yourself, it was creepy. It was so creepy. And for us, it was empty. We didn't have a piano in or something. He had a piano in it. I don't remember if we ever had anything in it. I can't remember. I think everybody was always kind of creeped out to go in it. And it was right off of the family room, it seems like. Because there was like a fancier living room up front. It was marble floors, and it's sunken, and it had all windows looking out over the pool. And then you went through, there was a big formal dining, and then you went into this big old kitchen, and then there was a study or an office across from that, and then there was another room, and it was all windows too. And then it was like the family room, I guess, is where we would watch TV. Our parents didn't watch TV with us. That wasn't a thing back then. But I would stay up by myself at night, and I would go out on Friday night, and I would lay down there by myself and watch. There was shows back then, like this was before Elvira, but that's what Elvira based her show on, was these older shows like that. So I would go down and watch them, these spooky Godzilla and The Mummy and Dracula. I loved that stuff. So I would go down there by myself in that room and watch it. But our parents, back in the 60s and 70s, parents were just like hang out with their friends. They didn't hang out with their kids really. So, and in this house, like I didn't ever feel scared or anything. I always felt like he kind of was protective over me, like he related me to his daughter. And I think I had her room. And I think he would come in and check on me a lot. And there was a lot of times because I've told stories about my dad and how, what my life was like back then and stuff that I've had to heal. But I would be really scared at night. And sometimes I couldn't go to sleep until I heard my dad come home and stop creeping around the house. And so I always felt like that this ghost was protecting me. In the soundproof room is where he killed himself. And so he just, kept staying at this house. And this family just went through more and more tragedy. The daughter, when she had the breakdown, she tried to burn the house down. I guess she started her room on fire. And you couldn't tell. Like, I don't know when it happened, but I think she got locked into a mental hospital. And the mom moved out. She married someone else, and they went and got a place. And then it was in the newspaper later, they were all murdered. So it was just like very tragic stuff happened in this family. But and we had a lot of money, and back then people would come and clean your house, and you'd call them maids. Is the maid coming today? And they come in and clean your house. Well, we couldn't keep one, because I would always hear the guy would walk around, he would rattle the pans, he was always doing stuff. He was just very active. Like at night, you would always hear all of the stuff in the kitchen just be rattling around. He'd walk around the house all the time. You could hear him. And I don't remember all of the stories, but there was definitely people who would come to our house who knew that there was a ghost. And the maids would leave and they would never come back. Mom couldn't get them to come back. They were so freaked out. Because it was during the day. I mean, he just walked around, but he wasn't ever scary to me. He never made you feel threatened or something. It just seemed like he was just kind of trapped there. Like something was holding him there. He couldn't fix it. He took the early exit and he couldn't fix it. So he was just kind of trapped there. But one time this girl came and she brought these guys over to my house. One of them I had a crush on. He was super cute. And I remember I think his name was Bobby. And he had like, I don't know, he just looked different. He looked, I don't know, maybe more Hawaiian or something. He had really dark skin and just like dark curly hair. He was really, really cute. And anyways, she brought these guys over, and then she starts talking about the ghost, and she wants me to prove to them that there's a ghost. So I just said, I didn't know the guy's name, so I just said, "Ghost, turn off the lights." And he turned off the lights, and they all ran out of the house. And so in my first experience of knowing that there was a ghost around, I wasn't ever scared. I just felt like, yeah, he didn't know what to do. And he was still protective. So then after that one, we moved. And other people could have had more scarier experiences. I just never did with that guy. But it made me really aware of ghosts. And after that one, my parents got divorced. This one was horrible because she moved into this rental house. Before she bought a house, she moved into this rental. First, she lived in an apartment, but when she moved out of the apartment, she moved into this rental house. And it was out in this other part of, like out on the outskirts of Dallas that became suburbs. And it was, so it was very suburban kind of neighborhood. Just looked like a regular, normal house. And that one was so scary. Because you would just be sitting there. You could just be sitting there in the living room watching TV, and you knew someone was watching you, and you always knew that it was coming from that vent. Like you couldn't stop looking at the vent. You knew something was watching you from the vent. So, I don't know how spirits move around the house and stuff like that. I don't know if they just, linger in places like that. I'm not sure. Maybe he's just hanging on the wall up by the vent. I'm not sure. But I wasn't the only one who knew he was in the vent, because I talked to my younger sisters. I was the oldest. And, everybody had the same thing about the vent. and it was super creepy. And I had my own room. I know I've talked about this before, but I had my own room at that house, and I was like 16. It was very turbulent times. My mom had just gotten divorced. She was with this young guy. He was an alcoholic. She stayed married to him for 25 years. But he was super, super young. And he had a couple of young kids. And so all of those girls and my other sister, they all shared a room, and it had bunk beds in it. So it must have been like 3 beds in that one room, 3 twin beds, like a bunk and then another bed. And, but I got my own room. So that was nice. But then I had to be by myself. Like they all had each other. And that entity, he was, I don't know if he was just angry or what his deal was, but he did not like me at all. And there was one time when I was, it was like morning, and I couldn't wake up. And I was like frozen, and I couldn't move. And then I felt like I knew he came in, and I knew that it's weird because when they put you in this frozen kind of state, like you have total awareness, it's almost like you can see outside your eyeballs. I don't even know how to explain it. But so you're not asleep, you're not dreaming, you have total awareness, but you can't move. And then he came in to the room, like I could sense him coming in. I could feel his energy. I could feel the heat of this person. And it was almost like you could smell him and feel the heat, and that he was like sweaty. I felt like he was like kind of fat and sweaty, you know? And then he got on top of me, and he was limited as to what he could do, but he definitely gave me the vision of what he wanted to do, because he wanted to suffocate me. And it was horrible, and I finally broke free from it, and it terrified me. I was so freaked out. I've never forgotten that. And it was he always was just like negative towards me. And after that, I don't remember how long after that, but I didn't stay living at that house. And but my sister, and I don't know who took my room, and I don't know if that was his space before, and if that's why he was mad. I have no idea. But then in the room where my sisters were, we had a little tiny poodle, and it would come and jump on the bed to sleep with them. And my sister said so many times something would come in and get on the bed. She said it would just come and get on the bed, and then she would start looking. She would think it was the dog, you know, turn on the lights, and it wouldn't be. There would be nothing, but it would constantly come in and get on the bed or move around on the bed. And they were all younger. So who knows, like, what this person was in life, if they were some kind of weirdo chimo or something. I don't know. But they had a horrible, horrible energy. And I was so glad when she moved out of that house. And then she moved into another one in Colorado. And I can't remember. It seems like, because there was a time after she left my dad that she went to Colorado and was there for a while, and then she went to Kansas. So yeah, the Colorado house was after this one, because she went through another house in Richardson, and it seemed fine. I didn't remember, you know, but there was so much turmoil. You know, it's hard, like if there's a lot of turmoil, sometimes you can't really pick up on the energy, you know, if it's coming from just the energy created by the people there, or if it's trapped energy. So that house, though, that she moved into, ended up that the next family, I think it was the very next family after, they all got murdered in that house. Like, there was a couple of, I don't know, like, to me, that's like 1 degree off from murder. Like, the people move out of our house, and then they get murdered. The people who moved into the house after we leave, they get murdered. Like, it's creepy. So, then that house in Colorado, oh my God, this one was so scary too. And it was a really, really old farmhouse. And it was, had a lot of different rooms, like parlors and shit like that. And it had this creepy, creepy basement. It was so creepy. It had the huge opening to it. Like the staircase was like grand staircase going down to this basement. It was really huge. So when you would stand up at the top of this grand staircase, you just look down these stairs and it would just be darkness. But you could always feel like in that darkness, something was looking back. Something was watching you. You knew it. You could feel it. And she asked me to go down there as I came to visit her, I think it was. And because I was already living on my own. And so I came there and I had my one daughter. I might have been pregnant with the other one. And she had asked me to go down in the basement and go into the laundry room or something. She's just like, go down there and then you go through that room and then through the other one, that's where it is. So I was like, weird, okay. So I go down there and it was like you had to go through a room to get to another room too. So it kind of felt like you were getting trapped a little bit, like there was no like way to get out except for to go through this long way back. It was really, it was so creepy because I knew something was on me the whole time. They were right behind me, following me the whole time. You could feel it, just like as if you were, had an actual person way too close to you. It was so creepy. And when I had to turn around and go back out, it was like, you're going to turn around and you're going to see this thing. It was fucking creepy. And so I went back out, went upstairs, and I was like, that's creepy as hell. I can't go down there. That's creepy. And my mom, if I ever tried to tell her about ghosts and stuff, she's very Bible person. So it's, you know, there was even a point when I had talked about ghosts that she was sure I was just like some kind of negative entity that had attracted demons and I had an awareness of them or something. I don't know. It was very odd. And, you know, I don't think she thinks like that anymore. I think that she's kind of getting more of the idea. Maybe. I don't know. She still is very much like, so many of those people is like, you don't talk to spirits. That they're demons. They're misleading you. Well, I'm trying to mislead me to do better and be happier and be nicer. So, I don't know. I'd rather be misled like that. So, I was spending the night, and this is the only night I remember being in this house. So, I don't know what the deal was. Maybe I spent more nights, but it doesn't seem like it. But this was so I had to go sleep in this little room. It was like a parlor or something. And maybe I was on a couch or some kind of pull-out bed or something. I'm not sure. But I don't even know if I could even sleep. There was, like, you could hear old music. You could hear, like, it was very active. It was really, really creepy. That house was so full of trapped energy or trapped spirits or something. And I talked to another sister about that one who lived at that one for a while. And she said, yeah, it was, I mean, everyone who went to that house, it was like, Mom, how can everyone else go and we all sense ghosts, but you just like, no, ghosts don't exist. Like, I don't understand that. But same with my brothers. For sure, one of my brothers is like, there's no such thing as ghosts. Like, how did you live around ghosts and not, and then you say that, like, there is no such thing as a soul. You just die. That's it. You quit trying to think like it's something else. Like, I don't have to think it. I know it. So in that one, you know, I was glad I didn't have to stay at that house or that other one, because both times those spirits, there was something creepy, you know, and I don't even know, you know, if there was more spirits or I don't even know what the deal was, but it was a lot of activity. And then, let's see, when I started having my own houses, then, I'm trying to think of the first one. Because I know I had, maybe it was the first one, because we moved, when we moved to Washington, because before that I was living in apartments in California. That's why I moved out of California, because you couldn't buy a house. It was so expensive back then. Well, it's still so expensive. But, you know, when you're young and you've got little kids and you want to buy a house, and it just is like, I got to move somewhere else. I'm never going to get a house here. I'm going to always live in an apartment. I don't like apartments. So, when I moved to Washington and got a house, seems like the first house seemed like it was fine. I don't really remember anything significant about it. It just seemed fine. But I could have been so caught up in my own misery. That's when my real misery of that marriage started. And but then we moved into another house because they were taking that house because they were expanding the road. So we bought another house, and it was up on the hill. And up on the hill was this old Catholic church. And it was like the convent kind, you know, like where it wasn't just like a church where they had church services. This was like a place where it would have been monks and stuff lived like a long time ago or something. This place is huge. It was like a big fortress. It had a big cemetery out front, and people did go there for church services, but it had a huge history. And the people who went there, this was like a really strict, what is that called in the different religions? Like a sanction of really strict, like they lived in the most strict, like they saw the regular Catholics as being, you know, just like crazy out of control. Like these ones were super, super strict. And so this place had a lot of creepy history, this church, super creepy. But the house that we moved into up there, we had to fix it. The people that lived in it, they had, I think they had bought it from a person, so they didn't have to, like, you know, it has to have certain things have to be a certain way, whatever. But we were buying it because the city was buying our house, so we had to, you know, have all this, we had to follow a lot of guidelines. And the house had to be up to certain standards and stuff. And my husband was a construction worker, so he went into the house to do the work so we could get this house. Because the kids would stay in the same schools. It was up on the hill. It was really nice. And most of the people who lived up there, though, were these church people. And so this house, they had like, I don't know, 10 or 12 kids, a lot of kids. And she had a few miscarriages. And when she had her miscarriages, she just buried them outside the, you know, on your house, you have windows. She just buried them down right outside the window. So kind of like the planter box going around your house. She had dead babies in it. And I don't remember how it went down. I think it was the kids, and I don't remember, did they know about this or something? Did my husband say something? As he talked to these people, he would go up and be around them. And I don't remember them knowing about it, but they started talking about there was babies crying outside the window. And it seemed like he had talked to them, the person, and he made her come up and dig up her babies and take them. So I don't remember the whole thing, but that was just creepy to me. The whole thing, like just burying your babies right outside your window was creepy. Like the whole thing was creepy. But in the house, they had this giant wall downstairs that they had painted, and it was this big, it was creepy, you know, like a cross with a skull with fire, and I don't know, it was really creepy. And I'm not even sure what it symbolized. And we painted over it, but still, there's just a lot of creepy energy in that house. And that house, it just wasn't a good, I just never felt right in that house. It just always felt off. And we had another cemetery that was across the street from us. And we'd go walk around over there, and it was way out in the field and stuff. And so this whole thing, see, I don't know if this is when this other one attached to me. But other than that, there didn't seem to be. It just was really, the whole area was just kind of creepy. There was Indian cemetery and stuff, so probably was in a place where there was like fighting with settlers and stuff. I'm not sure of all the whole history, but it just had a totally creepy vibe. And then this old freaking church, you know, you just kind of would see, looking at that, you'd see just like this hooded monks walking around like with their candles and stuff. It's just that, it was super creepy. When we moved into the other house, I had gotten split up, and we split up in this house. But in this house, there was, it was in a new development, and it seemed like, oh, this house would know way beyond it. This house is, you know, new. So when we moved into it and it started having so much activity, I was like, okay, this is weird. Like, where are these spirits? Like, house couldn't have had all these people die in it. And then, you know, you don't know, like, have you brought these people with you? No, because we'd go walk around the cemetery, because one of them was, my daughter was in her room, and she said this little girl that looked like a little pioneer girl came into her room and was standing by the door. And I think that little girl had also gone in the other daughter's room. There was more interaction with this little girl than just this one time that I had heard about. And, but she wasn't scary to them. You know, she didn't come in like, you know, scary. But there was other ones too. There was a lot of activity at this house. And everything would break constantly. Oh my God, I replaced so many dishwashers, replaced so many washers and dryers. It was just constant breaking. And I was like, okay, there's definitely there's what are those spirits that are playful, like a poltergeist kind of spirit here that's just fucking with me, fucking with my stuff and keeps breaking it. And it's just irritating me. And it was at a time when there was teenage kids, and that just raises the energy up so much more. With you know, trapped energy, spirits, however you want to see it. It raises it a lot more when there's that angst of teenagers. And so in that one, there started being so much stuff all the time. Like you would hear, it would sound like whole rooms were getting moved around, you know, and you go and there's nothing. It just looks normal. You hear walking. My daughter, one of my daughters, she saw one of them, with an old man, and he came in her room, and her boyfriend was there, and they were in bed. I know I've talked about this before. They were asleep, and she said that she knew all of a sudden that someone was at the end of her bed, and so she opened her eyes and she looked, and this old man is standing over her bed, just standing there staring at him. And she got really scared, so she, you know, knocked her boyfriend, like, you know, look. And he looked, and he saw him, like, it wasn't a dream or something. He saw him too. And he saw the old man standing there. So Brandon wanted to get up and go turn on the light. So he's, like, trying to slide out of the bed and walk around to go around to the light. And he could see the reflection of the guy in the TV. And as he's walking, he sees the guy turning in the TV. He's watching him turn and look at him. He got so scared that they both jumped up and they ran up the stairs. And when they got to the top of the stairs, they jumped across the room and ran and jumped on the couch. And behind them, they heard steps stomping up as fast as they could, running up the stairs. They could hear this boom, 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 boom. And once it got to the top, it was quiet for a second, then it just slammed the door. And they thought they were going to get in trouble for being up there and slamming the door and stuff. But there was a constantly noise like that. I was down there one of the times, and I went down to do something, and all of a sudden it felt like this shadow came, and it was just this big giant shadow, and it was behind me, and it was very consuming, like it gave you the creeps. And so I'm just, okay, stay calm. And then just start walking up the stairs, and, you know, just to get away from it, it just stayed right behind me. And I could see the shadow on the wall, and it was, but you could feel the energy of it. And there was other people who had come in the house. That shadow one had gotten to other people too, because they were scared to death of, because they'd be like, there's a big shadow down there. and it comes and tries to get you. The old man, not everybody saw. And I don't know if it was the old man taking other forms. I don't think it was a little girl. I kind of got the feeling like maybe that little girl, like when we were going to the other little graveyard across the street from our house, maybe she just followed, or maybe, you know, she was just a pioneer who died out there. I don't know, you know, how some of these spirits get to certain places, but they do get attracted to certain vibrations. Like you will pull them towards you with your vibration. And so, you know, I don't know, but they do have a pull towards an awareness. Like if you have an awareness of them, they will be pulled towards you. And so in that one, there was so many people that would come and I'd be like, okay, well, my house is haunted. And, you know, they wouldn't believe it. Then after they'd been there for a while, then they'd be believing it. Yeah. Because it was crazy sounds and noises. And one time it was like this screaming. It was always just weird stuff. So I was glad once I got, and that's funny because when I was, you know, just my workaholic self, I was going to, before my brain injury, you know, I was going to just, this house was really nice. And I was going to pay it off and just live there. You know how my kids' house from when they were younger and stuff. But a house had a lot of, I don't know, bad juju or something. I don't know. But I ended up, after my brain injury, leaving that house. And because I lost everything when that happened. So I had to go into a rental house. And this rental house was, this was one of the most, I don't know, it was the most active. And it was also the most, where I had an awareness of who the spirit was. Like I knew for sure. Well, in the first one too, that guy, like, I mean, you just automatically assume he killed himself here. He's stuck at the house. And, you know, that seemed pretty easy. This one too, like it was a couple's house. It was an old couple that had lived there for a long time. They'd always been married. And then she got sick and died. And she was a quilter. She was involved in community and stuff like that. And then he ended up getting sick and having to go into a nursing home. So another, like we were moving in, there was another group or person or something that was moving out when we moved in. It wasn't those people. So there was the renters in between this other renter thing, and they didn't stay there very long. You know, I'm assuming probably because of the activity at this house. It was creepy as shit. And so we moved in. It was a really cute house, and it was old fashioned. It was really cute. And we were I'm trying to think of like when the very first thing, because the very first thing started being where she would turn the water on. Oh, the very first thing was I got super, super sick when I moved in. Super sick. Sicker than oh man. Not super sick, sicker than I'd ever been in my life, but really, really sick with something I had never had before. I had this, like a lung infection kind of thing. And I got strep. I'd never had strep. They said that's very unusual for an adult to get strep for the first time. And so I had strep. Had this lung infection or something. I was just really, really sick. And it took weeks to get better. And there was times when I would just be laying there and I'd be like, oh my God, I just want to die. This is horrible. I was so, so sick. And then later, after I got better, I was like, okay, this is just weird. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I asked the neighbor who knew him, because the neighbor, like, there was more history. Like, the people that were the neighbors, I knew them when they were kids. They had lived there for a long time. And so they knew these people. And he knew what she died from, and it was a lung infection. So right then, I was like, okay, so there's something going on here. And she would turn the water on all the time. And I kept thinking, is she trying to tell me like I'm not cleaning the house to her standard or something? Like, what is her deal? Why is she constantly turning the water on? And then she started, this person I was married to, that was definitely just a learning catalyst situation in my life. And so it was never like a peaceful, settled relationship. And she started, like, we would fight a lot, and she would always like go against me. Like at one time I locked him out, and I don't know, maybe I was being spiteful, but also he was just but I locked the door with the little chain thing, so he couldn't open the door. And he had gotten home, and he was going from door to door. I could hear him. He was so pissed because he couldn't get in the door, and he's outside just screaming and yelling. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And so I was like, weird. Wonder what happened. So I just went to sleep. In the morning I got up. She'd unlocked the door and let him in. He was downstairs. I was like, what the fuck? But she would unlock, but that's the kind of stuff she would do. If, like, he would go into, I was sitting on the bed one time. I was sitting there talking to him, and he was in the bathroom, which was right next to it. And he was in there, and I was talking to him, but I was sitting on the bed. And then she just shut the door. Just shut my bedroom door. I just watched her. Just shut it. It didn't slam. Just slowly, just, she was always trying to like cut me off from him or something. And I started getting the feeling like, does this woman think like this is her husband? Like, is she confused? Does she think like I'm invading her space? I'm trying to steal her husband? Like, this is weird. And, she continued with turning the water on. If he would be there, and he would go down and he would turn on music, especially if I wasn't there, he'd turn on music, and he said he would be playing music really loud. If it was music she didn't like, she would turn it off. If it was music she liked, then he could play it, but she would turn it off. He'd have to try different things because she would just turn it off. And one of the times we decided we were going to have a Valentine's party, and we were down in the basement. It was like a, I don't know, 70s game room or something, this downstairs thing, and it was set up with a wet bar and all this stuff. So we were having this party down there. And during the party, there was weird stuff. But one of the things was, because one person who was there, they were standing behind the bar, and we had like different drinks out, because it was like the wet bar thing. So behind it was the shelves and the sink and stuff. And then there was a bar, and you could pull up bar stools and stuff. And then you could stand in between, right? Like a regular old bar. And so he was standing in there. There's all like sangria and stuff like that out here in these pictures. And there was a picture, and he said he stood there and watched it. It was just like someone just took it and drug it across there, got to the end, picked it up, and just poured it out. He was so freaked out. He's like, I'm never coming back here again. And we were always like, we told you guys, there's ghosts here. And she's constantly doing stuff. She would go in, like Rich could see her sometimes. He would look up, and he would see like her shadow form, or he would smell her. She was always wanting to hang out with him. Like, he could be outside working in the garage, and then he would think I was standing in the door, and he would turn to look, and he would see a shadow, but it wasn't me. And so she was always wanting to be around him. So I think, though, there's something like confusion for, like when people say like a ghost is just doing all of this stuff, like, to me, it's like an energy. It's picking up on energy that's there. So if you're feeding fear and stuff like that, it's pulling in that energy, it's feeding that. And so you're going to create that fearful experience. And for her, like, it wasn't like I wasn't like creeped out. I kept feeling like she was just confused. Like I was trying to do clearings and stuff. I was just like, oh, it just seems like. So I think that there's a lot of stuff when ghosts are trapped like that. I think that there's confusion. That's why they haven't crossed over. There's something they're holding on to. Like she was probably bonded to her husband. She had this innate feeling like I've got to take care of my husband, and she couldn't tell it wasn't her husband there because her energy was so trapped in this feeling I've got to take care of this. I've got to do this. But somehow I think that a portal or something got created, because then downstairs in that bar room behind it was a big mirror. And we went down there one day and there was a big print on the wall, on the mirror. And it even had like a greasiness to it. Like it was a definite print of something I've never seen before. Some kind of weird animal foot thing. I've never seen anything like it. And I took a bunch of pictures. I was showing everybody, and it was greasy. Like you could see, like it wasn't just like a print, like that you had to fog up the room to see. Like it was really weird. And when I started telling people that, they were like, "Okay, you've got a portal. there's some coming out, something else coming through there." And anyway, we ended up moving from there. And in that other house, because this house I'm at right now, it hasn't had people living in it. I'm the first person who's really lived in it. It's only been a vacation home, vacation cabin. So I don't feel like it has trapped energy. I feel like it's kind of in a happy place in the forest. Like I feel like, I don't know, I feel a lot more protected, a lot more a part of nature here. But in the house that we had moved out of from that house into this other one, and it was my husband's house. And so we were fixing it up. And when we were fixing it, to me, I didn't feel any negative feelings or anything. But when my grandkids started coming over, they kept telling me there was a lady on the stairs. And they were scared of the lady on the stairs. And I kept saying, well, where is she? I don't see her. And they'd be like, but I could see something in my head. And but they kept telling me that she's on the stairs. She's on the stairs. And my one little granddaughter, she wouldn't even walk on the stairs. She'd go outside, walk on the stairs to go upstairs, and then come in the other door. She was like, fuck that, I'm not going. When she was like little, because I was babysitting her and the other one before they started in kindergarten. And they both were just terrified of the stairs. And then I asked my older grandkids, and they were like, yeah, there's some woman on the stairs. And so then this lady, this woman I knew, it was the other grandma of some of my grandkids. She had come over, and she's a medium. I didn't even know she was a medium, because to me, a medium, like a channeler, is like what I do. Like I can pick up on energy, I can hear, and I can, translate what I'm hearing. So to me, that's like channeling. Medium is somebody who can talk directly to dead people somehow, and she has that ability. She can talk directly to dead people. I did before, when I was learning how to do the the BHQ, the past life regressions, and I did a bunch of them on people. But when I did hers, she was full on just talking to dead people the whole time. Even somebody who her first boyfriend came to her, and he was dead, and she didn't even know he had died. And he was talking to her. He had killed himself, and he was telling her stuff. Like there was so much stuff. It was crazy. But when she had come, she told me, there's a woman on your stairs. And I was like, that's weird. The kids keep telling me that there's a woman on the stairs, but I don't feel anything about it. Like I don't feel scared or anything. And she said that this girl said that she's been with you, that she's always with you, that she's been with you since before you could see anything. And the only time that I could ever picture anything was out at that one house where it was just so much fields. It was so much farmland where that Catholic church was. And I was like, could it be from there or all the way back to my grandparents? Because it was a farm too, where it was just farmland for as far as you could see. And I couldn't, and then it was like, man, is it somebody from a past life? Is it, one of my siblings from past life? But she said, so when I go to sleep at night, I go and I hang out with this individual that I spend time with them all the time. They're always with me. And she said, you know, when she loves me, adores me, yeah, I would not feel scared of her or anything. But she said that it got to a point with the grandkids that she started not liking them, that they were a distraction. They were in her way. Like she felt competitive with them. So anyways, we did a whole clearing and cleared her out. And, you know, I don't know if she comes back. I don't know if I still go see her in my dreams. You know, when you clear something, it is not, you know, you don't make them disappear. You know, they just, you know, she could go somewhere else and then still come back. Like I can still go see her. Like I don't know what this connection is. Is it a child from a past life that is here trying to help me in this one? Like, I don't know. But there's definitely some kind of a third dimensional connection, because when you go up into other higher dimensions, looks like alfalfa. When you go up into higher other dimensions, you don't have those same feelings of being competitive like that. So that's, and for her to have those feelings towards my grandkids. So I don't know. There's so many things that I will be, you know, so curious to know. Like I want to go into that other part where we get to know more about our true self and more of our experiences. And I guess, you know, as this state of consciousness, it would be too much, like, you know, and we're going to start learning about it. That's part of this ascension. Part of the event will bring us more into that kind of state of mind where you will know more. Like I know some about some of my past lives, but I think it's the stuff that I know is just because there's some kind of a lesson associated with it or something I need to know. But to just be able to go in and just look at all of the stuff, then, you know, I find that stuff interesting. But anyways, so that was my, the stories of the ghosts that I lived around. And, you know, I've been around a lot of ghosts, and some that were scary, but they can't, I've never been physically hurt. I can feel like that they can fuck with your head. They can make you see things that aren't there or something. Like there's some kind of thing that they can do. Like it's the same way with the communication. I think that's like where, you know, like in movies, they'll show somebody and they're holding like a, they'll get something out of the fridge and they'll open it and start to eat it. And then they look down and it's a bunch of worms and they drop it. And when it gets down on the ground, then they see it was really just a piece of pizza. So, you know, like I think that there's an ability there to kind of, but it is more of kind of, I think, like a messaging, like trying to show you something. Like I think they're always trying to communicate. I don't think that they're trying to hurt us. You know, there's other things to do when you're dead besides stay back and try and hurt alive people. So I think there's just a lot of fear and stuff that's been built up around ghosts. And I just think it's unwarranted. I don't think that there's a reason to be fearful of ghosts. I think that the more that people start to understand life outside of life, that there'll be a lot less fear associated with a lot of things, a lot less manipulation. So anyways, I just wanted to share my ghost stories. I probably have, because there was another thing too I wanted to add on. When there was so much activity at the one house, when the one with the old man, little girl and stuff like that, and all my stuff breaking all the time, all of them were going to that creepy church, and they were going and doing like Ouija boards and shit out there. And at one of the times when they were doing that, they were all out there. These are my older kids and older, you know, a bunch of older kids, not my little kids. When they were going and they were doing that, they saw something was watching them. And it had like green kind of piercing eyes. And all of them that saw this thing for months, they were drained of their energy. They just felt depleted, depressed. and lots of stuff going on around them and stuff. So, you know, I definitely don't think it's something that you want to just go out and mess with, because yeah, if you're just, you know, all, you pull in some dark energy and not know how, you know, what to do with it. It's dark and heavy enough that it depressed, I don't know, I think it was 3 or 4 people went into severe depression after, and they could see it chasing them. Like when they all like ran and they got in the car, it was coming behind them. But that place was definitely, that old church, definitely, there's probably some, when people find out what was going on really at the Vatican, and probably any associated church from way back, it wasn't, they weren't calling in holy spirits, believe me. So anyways, you know, I don't think that ghosts are going to run around with knives and kill you. Some open doors, some closed doors, some don't mind doors at all, just go right through them. Like, it all depends on their own energy. Just like when we're dead, it depends on our own energy of where, what dimension, you know, where we resonate. So anyways, that's my ghost story. That's my take on ghosts and stuff like that. So hopefully, you know, that gave somebody some kind of other insight out of being scared of the scary monsters that are out there trying to kill us. There is creepy shit, though. Skinwalkers and shit like that. It's creepy. Okay, so I will talk to you later. Bye.